Well, hi there, everybody. Welcome to Cinemaholic Productions. This week we are going to be talking about The Fate of the Furious, the eighth film. I think it's the eighth film in the Fast and Furious franchise. My name is Spencer, and I'm a cinemaholic.
My name is Ryan, and I am a cinemaholic.
And real quickly, I just want to say stick around throughout the whole review because we're going to be doing a Blu-ray giveaway. Oop, glare there. Of Speed, if you can see that, starring Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. Great movie, great action movie. And on the topic of action, Ryan, why don't you go ahead and set up The Fate of the Furious for us?
All
But
right.
real quick, one more thing I want to say. Here at Cinemaholics, the most important thing to us is family.
Good segue. Okay, so like you said, The Fate of the Furious, it's the eighth film coming off of number seven, which was a big deal, and I kind of want to talk about a little bit. I really actually liked seven. It wasn't amazing by any means, but I did enjoy it specifically for what James Wan was able to do with the passing of Paul Walker, and the way that they were able to still make that movie good, even with him missing for a lot of it. So props to them. I was a fan of that one. This is the next installment, the first full one without Paul Walker, starring the huge cast of people that I don't even want to get into. But this one is directed by F. Gary Gray, the guy who just did Straight Outta Compton. So going into it, I was kind of excited for that because, Straight Outta Compton was awesome. And then we get into this, and seriously, the synopsis of this one: when a mysterious woman seduces Dom into the world of terrorism and betrayal of those closest to him, the crew face trials that will test them as never before. I don't know. I don't know, guys. What do you think, Spencer?
I kind of feel similarly to how I usually do when I walk out of a Fast and Furious movie. I'm like, it happened and I enjoy it while it's going, but this movie is so dumb. Like all of them. I feel like the seventh one got super ridiculous. Like the part where he
Building.
drives from one building to the other building. Yeah, it's like the physics of this world just don't make any sense whatsoever. But it's not really. I feel like the target audience for this movie isn't too. Their minds aren't too occupied with thoughts of like
Yeah.
physics and all that. So I enjoy it for what it is. What I will say is that whenever The Rock and Jason Statham were on screen, I was just loving this movie. Like they're like kind of like interplay between each other, especially that first part when they're in prison, the part where The Rock's like, I'm gonna knock your teeth so down far down your throat that you're gonna have to reach up your ass to take a bite. I was like, that's a great line. So many great lines in this movie. But anytime that Dom was on screen, the movie kind of took itself seriously. It just totally lost me. And unfortunately for a lot of it, especially after watching like Triple X, The Return of Xander Cage, where Vin Diesel was literally like this Looney Tunes cartoon character, they try to make him like all ground. They really try to sell the emotion in this movie. And it was just, it felt like two completely opposite movies. When The Rock and Statham were on screen, there was like, gunfights going on while a guy was like holding a baby and stuff. And then it goes back to Vin Diesel, who's just like, has this inner turmoil going on about like family. It's just like, it was a little bit uneven. But overall, I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a fun movie. It had one of the best things I've ever seen in my entire life involving a torpedo and The Rock. That's all I'll say. But
That's in the trailer.
oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't watched any of the trailers for this yet. Okay, so yeah, the part where he gets out of his cars, hanging on the door and sliding on the ice,
Yeah.
and he pushes the torpedo into a car. That was amazing.
Man. Yeah,
Oh,
when I was watching the trailer, that's the point that lost me. I was like, I am so out of this movie. Whatever. But the way it actually like played out, it's less ridiculous, even though it's still like ridiculous. I I don't know. I think I liked it a little less than you. I made it through, and I didn't hate myself for watching it all the way through. But I think what happened with the Fast and the Furious franchise is after like 5 and 6, they finally started to like realize that people are going to watch these not for physics, they're going just for the adrenaline and for the cheesiness and all of that. And so they really just started to own that. And 7 made a weird turn because they did have to take it seriously, but at the same time they were able to understand what kind of a film it was, and so it worked, and I enjoyed those ones. But this one, I feel like you said, I feel like there was a lot more of trying to take itself too seriously in a dramatized way that the Fast and the Furious is never going to reach. And honestly, F. Gary Gray, like, I'm disappointed. I feel like the direction was probably the worst part of this. Like, I did not enjoy it. I felt like it was very incoherent. The story in general, it was like, wait, what was the story again? Probably couldn't tell you. I mean, what's her motivation to doing all of?
To get that nuke. Remember, she had to get
what?
that nuke. So there's that part where she provides all the exposition about how when she has with a nuke, when she has a nuke, she'll be able to like get people to do her bidding, essentially, because she's such a great computer hacker, which is another dumb thing. The computer hacking in this movie is literally people just sitting there typing on a computer. Yeah, they never explain anything. They're just like, hey, we need to do this. And then the audience is probably just like, eating popcorn, like sitting there watching it. And then they're just like typing away. And it's just like, what? Like, what is happening? And I feel like, you just watching Mr. Robot and like us kind of like, I'm not saying like condescendingly, because this movie's dumb and it's not going to be smart enough to figure out like with how to do the computer hacking in this world. But that's just one detail that if you have a villain who's a computer hacker, write it a little bit better so that it makes somewhat sense and you kind of understand what they're doing.
See, yeah, and I just feel like the whole thing wasn't executed very well, because I kind of get that, but I still don't get the point of it. And it's like the whole scheme to steal the baby, to do the blah, 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 blah. Whatever. I just feel like it could have been executed in a different way and would have worked better. Though Charlize Theron is a beast. And as ridiculous as a lot of her dialogue was, I think she still like did good for what she had. And I'm excited for Atomic Blonde with her. I think that movie looks sick.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about that one. Okay, so I don't know. I think that, yeah, the turning point in this series, because this series has always been relatively ridiculous, but I was listening to this podcast and they were talking about this piece on slashfilm.com that was like the 8 craziest moments in the Fast and Furious franchise, and the number one was the scene in the 6th movie where Michelle Rodriguez goes rocketing through the air and Dom gets on the hood of his car, hits like the concrete barrier, catches her midair, and they land on a car on the windshield and just totally walk off completely unscathed. And I think that this movie might top that ridiculous scene with the scene involving the car door. Like, that car door scene was ridiculous.
Well, I'd say there's like 3 scenes. There's 3 specific things once you get out on that ice. I mean, we're going spoilers here, so I don't even care. I mean, the torpedo kicking is ridiculous.
That was my favorite part. Except for the prison fight scene, that was my favorite part in the whole movie.
The car door and how conveniently he's able to blow up the submarine, and then he like bails out of his car and then it's about to explode and he's like and then everyone is able to just stop on a dime. Like, everyone just I mean, they're on ice and they're just like and it somehow prevents this barrier, so he's protected from the blast, and he's like, ah, and then they all walk away fine.
Yeah, the total Fast and the Furious, and then the ending scene on the roof was just so dumb. Like, it was straight up soap opera status. Like, that's the thing, is this the dialogue and the emotion in this, it really kind of wears its heart on its sleeve for being such a movie about like dumb meatheads. And oh man, I kind of just, I admire it for that. Like, I honestly had a really good time watching this movie. And also, one more spoilery scene. The part where The Rock finds out that, they think that Statham is dead, and he like punches a hole in a metal door. Like, it was just
he just walks off.
It's like boom, and then breaks a metal door. I was just like, oh, I love the way they handle The Rock in these movies.
I love The Rock. Everything he does, he's just on point.
Okay, sure. Let's score this puppy because we've been talking about this for a couple minutes now.
Okay, I'm scoring it straight up 5. Like I cannot decide if I like it or if I don't like it. I'm right on the middle. For every pro and moment that I was able to just disconnect and not think and just enjoy it, there was also a moment that I was like, what the hell? So straight up 5 out of 10.
Okay, I'm gonna give this a 6 out of 10. Like I said, I really enjoy this movie, but it is dumb and it's really bad, and there's lots of stupid, like the opening scene, that car chase.
I didn't see the opening scene. I was 5 minutes late.
Oh, okay. So let me just, I'm real quickly going to explain this to you. He races this guy who has the fastest car on the island in Cuba, and he uses like his cousin's car, which is just this rundown piece of crap. And he's like, strip the car of everything. So they like take off the fenders, so like take off the hood, and get this. So he gets like the guy is all nasty and like sends motorcycles out to like crash in front of him and stuff to try to stop Vin Diesel from being stopped. But you know, he's like unstoppable. He's invincible in this series. So, and he's the best at everything ever. So he's driving his car, and everybody's like, the engine's gonna blow, and he has some NOS. So he uses the NOS, and then the guy hits him. The car spins around, and he has to go in reverse. So he's going in reverse, and the guy's driving forward, and then the engine blows up, and the momentum of the engine blowing up pushes him ahead to go through the finish line. Then the brakes go out. So he's about to hit this huge crowd of people who are like, yeah, because they just won. And then he turns the wheel, jumps out of the car hits a concrete wall, goes flipping through the air, and explodes in the air, and everybody's like cheering. And then his girlfriend comes up and they kiss, and the camera like pans around, and you see the audience cheering behind them. It is incredible.
Oh my gosh. I honestly, I was like, I'm not even gonna bother going to watch the first 5 minutes again.
Now you have to.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It like, I was seriously laughing out loud. And there were people looking at me just like, who is this guy? But it's like, I don't take this stuff seriously. Okay, so yeah, that's our review, guys. Real quick, this Blu-ray contest. So if you would like to win this Blu-ray copy of Speed, then go ahead and comment down below, what is the best action movie of all time and why? So on the topic of, Speed and Fate of the Furious, go ahead, let us know. And the last thing I want to say about Fate of the Furious is we don't really know the fate, because they're obviously going to have another sequel. So it was a dumb title.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
See you guys next week.
Yeah. So you guys can follow me on Twitter at SpinnyHand. Ryan, where can they find you?
You can follow me at Rye_Gordon. Make sure to comment and like and subscribe and all that stuff those YouTube people say. And stick around, because next week we're going to be doing a review of Free Fire. Plus a shout out, there is a Sundance movie that we both really enjoyed that is out in theaters now from this year, Colossal. If you get a chance and if it's in a theater near you, definitely go give it some love and check that one out. It's definitely one to watch. So until next week, bye.